Hey friends, it is the last day of August and I need to do some pruning. So I wanted to take you with me while I do that and kind of explain somewhat of what I do. It's probably going to be quick. It's just some minor trims here and there. There are a couple of trees that do need a little bit more pruning than others, but I wanted to give you a glimpse of what it looks like right now so that maybe next year you can see the difference in growth. Because if you go back to my first videos where actually my very first video is the first tour of my garden, so you can see a huge difference, and I'll link it. It's not the best video, just warning, but you can see the major progress these trees have gone through. And the idea is they're going to stay short and they're getting too tall, starting to get some fruit. It's the second year they're on the ground. So before I keep rambling, let me take you there. One of you mentioned that I did have 3 grapefruits and I couldn't believe it. I sure did miss it. So I've got 3 grapefruits. This is a grapefruit tree and it's doing really well. And I'm just gonna go quickly here. You wanna see like the full details, you can go to my other videos. But this is all citrus. I've got my orange, I've got my tangerine, I got blood orange. This one's kind of getting there maybe. That is my mandarin. And I randomly have some volunteer tomatoes that are growing thanks to the birds. My avocado tree doesn't look too bad. My mango trees are doing really well. There's no pruning on any of these. You know, maybe I think I will prune a little bit of the blood orange, because if I scoot back, you can see how it's just kind of taking this growth spurt on this side. And it's leaning over too much, so I'm gonna have to straighten that one. You come over here, my figs have been the best to me this year and they're getting pretty large. I'm still harvesting some figs, so I am gonna do some cuts. I was waiting to harvest all the figs and I'm almost there. I'm trying to see if, yep, I think I've got some right here. Look, so you can see. Yep, this one's good. I'll pull that one. This one, maybe tomorrow. And this one is actually one of our favorites. This is a Violet de Bordeaux fig. Our other favorite, like our #1, is back here and it still has some figs. This one is my smaller fig tree, and that is a brown turkey fig. And then my Tiger Panache is over here on this side. I've got some pruning. Now I have a pear back there that just has a lot of vigor, so I'm going to go ahead and cut that and cut all of this vigor off, and I'm going to look in between to see if there's anything else needed. But all of these are too far and I don't want that. They're too big. So I'm sorry. Hope you can see it. But you see how it's passing the fence line? I really don't want this year's growth to pass that, so I'm going to try to keep it low. And you see how some of this is growing too much? This is my Apricot and Plum mix. Forgot to mention that that is 1 apple and 3 cherries. And then over here, my peaches and nectarines. And I have clusters, so there's 4 and all of these here in the front. And you see how that one right there is too large compared to the other one, so I'm going to give that a haircut. And then my most vigorous one is my pomegranate. So I've got 2 pomegranate trees. I've got the male and female, I guess, if you want to say that. One is going to pollinate the other. And I've got too much going on right there. I actually did one specific video on this one, so if you want to go back and look at that one, you can, earlier this year. And then over here I've got my lemon and lime that lead to the vegetable garden. We're here, I can eat a snack, and this is the Violet de Bordeaux, and it's looking quite delicious. That's everything I cut, and I even had a cantaloupe that was going, and the bugs just got on it, or something ate it. And I did cut off one of these, which has been blooming, and it's beautiful. I love it. It's had maybe about 6 or 7 blooms. This is what it looks like. I left just a tiny bit above the fence line, and hopefully grow a little bit more. And then the next pruning I would do in between to see if any crossing branches. I really focused on droopy branches. Like if they were too droopy, it needed to be cut, because that just makes a stronger branch. And I also cut the bottom. You don't want any of that growth, because that's just energy towards growing there. And I also trimmed a little bit of my basil. Yep, that's what that one looks like. Let's move on. The rest should be quicker because there's not too much except for my apricots and plums. I will say that it's about 6 p.m. It's not a good time to do this, but it's rained all weekend and the humidity does not do well with, recent cuts. You want it to heal dry, and so you don't have any mold or anything like that growing. And so because I work normal 8 to 5, I can only do it right now. So we'll see how it turns out. So let's keep going. Just a little trim. It looks like a lot when you're here. Not bad. And just so that you can see here, you cut just a little bit above the next bud and at a slant. Just a little bit off of the blood orange. Nothing from these. I took some of the top of the figs off just because I don't want them to continue to grow up, but I didn't take too many off because they do drip, which you can see right there. It starts to drip and it gets everywhere. See, it gets everywhere. It's pretty sticky. And everything else is here. I have some aphids over there, and I realize now that there's a couple of ant piles, and the reason why. So the aphids feed ants sugar because they take the sugar off of the leaves, especially the new leaves. So if you see ants, beware, there might be some aphids. So I took a lot of it off that had aphids, which was perfect because it was what I wanted to trim. Then everything else, I didn't want to take too much of the cherries just because it seems to be struggling right now with the heat. So I didn't want to cut too much off of it. But everything else looks like it's doing really well. Now it's time for me to clean it up, and I really wanted to thank you for watching me do that. It's very easy. I really don't have a strategy right now. It's best to cut at an angle, but if you don't get a chance to do that, it's okay. I mean, the limbs are thin and there's not a lot of water that will sit on it. If it's a larger tree, I would definitely make sure that the cuts are at an angle so that the water just slides off. Outside of that, I mean, it's every season I do a cut if it needs it, and the summer seems to be the most. I think I have one more pruning to do for the fall, and then after that it'll be winter. It's pretty cool outside. It feels good. Cool meaning it's in the high 70s. So that's it. I wanted to walk you through what I do and hopefully encourage you to do it in your home. Alright, see you next time.